West Maitland Public School was formally opened on Tuesday the 19th of May 1874 by Sir Alfred Stephen, Knight, C.B., KCMG, Chief Justice of New South Wales, and a member of the Council of Education. The Maitland Mercury reminded their readers of the fact that the school was actually opened on the 19th of April last, with an attendance of about 200 scholars. Since then the attendance had steadily increased, until at the time of opening there were over 300 pupils, the great majority of whom, however, were boys, a circumstance to be accounted for by the fact that lady teachers had not yet been appointed. The weather was cloudy and there was a slight fall of rain during the afternoon, but barely sufficient to lay the dust in the streets. Proceedings were commenced by a procession formed at the High Street Railway crossing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The band of the West Maitland Volunteer Rifles, in full uniform, came first. Then came the members of the Friendly Societies, the Sons of Temperance, Ancient Order of Foresters, and Independent Order of Odd Fellows, in all numbering about 60. Next in order were the children attending the public schools of East and West Maitland. The girls first, then the boys 4 deep, and numbering about 350. They were accompanied by their teachers, and formed perhaps the most interesting part of the procession. Following these were the carriage conveying Sir Alfred Stephen, who was accompanied by Mr. William Briggs, Secretary to the local public school committee, and Mr. Blair. Immediately behind were the members of committee. The public brought up the rear. At least, they were supposed to bring up the rear, but the public lined the footways and walked up the street side by side with the procession, obviously a better position for the enjoyment of the scene. The procession moved down Elgin Street to the school, where there was a profusion of bunting displayed. Sir Alfred Stephen and the committee entered the building from Elgin Street, and the public were admitted to the school ground by the Olive Street entrance. Sir Alfred Stephen, having been shown through the building, was conducted to a platform in the playground, where an address was presented to him from the committee.
It is not my intention to inflict upon you a long address, but naturally you would expect a few words on an occasion so interesting to myself and to all concerned. I have this morning had your address placed in my hands, and therefore have prepared a written reply, which I will read to you. One reason for this is that public speakers, especially lawyers, are apt to say more when they have not a written address to speak from than they intended when they began. There is also a difficulty in that the remarks of a speaker, even when taken down by the most correct reporters, might not be fully comprehended. That is my excuse for delivering my address in writing, although I am accustomed to public speaking. Another reason is that one loses very much of the proper effect of an address in speaking extempore. I shall now read the address. To the Committee of the West Maitland Public School. Gentlemen, I have felt much pleasure in complying with your invitation to be present on this occasion, and I congratulate you and the inhabitants on the zeal and energy which you have shown in so effectively and rapidly carrying out the important object which you undertook to accomplish. It is exceedingly gratifying to hear that you have already in attendance at your school so large a number of children, and I trust that they, with the many others who will soon doubtless be associated with, and those who in succeeding generations will follow.
Following Sir Stephen's address of some 2,000 words, Mr. Briggs said there was one matter in connection with the school he wished to mention, which was that there was a preponderance of boys, the reason being that they had not yet female teachers appointed. Sir Stephen replied,
I have been told that the working of the staff was defective. As a member of the Council of Education, I would make inquiry, and will take care that the matter be represented to the board. It is of the greatest importance that the girls should be educated as well as the boys, for on their education depends the happiness of the men. I now formally declare the West Maitland public school completely open for the reception of scholars.
Master Walter Taylor then ascended the platform and read an address to Sir Stephen.
Sir, we the undersigned, on behalf of the pupils of the West and East Maitland and Morpeth Public Schools, most respectfully request that you will favor us with a holiday tomorrow, the 20th instant. Thanking you for your assistance at the opening of our school, we remain, Sir, yours respectfully, Walter Taylor, George Cotterill.
Sir Stephen, in reply, acceded to the request by asking the masters of the schools to grant a holiday to the children, and expressed a hope, at the same time, that they would be favored with better weather than they were that day. The request, it was intimated, was readily complied with. 3 hearty cheers were then given for Sir Stephen. The children sang the national anthem, and the proceedings closed with 3 cheers for the Queen. Before leaving the ground, Sir Stephen and Mr. Jacob Gorick each planted a cypress tree. That planted by Sir Stephen is at the corner of Elgin and Olive Streets, and Mr. Gorick's at the opposite corner of the ground. The school buildings were then thrown open to public inspection. In the evening a grand concert was given in the School of Arts by a number of gentlemen amateurs of Maitland and vicinity.